How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge and I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. A question that I am asked all the time, and rightly so, because it is incredibly important when it comes down to it, is that when is the right time to post on Instagram? When should I post to optimize my amount of engagement that I'm getting on my piece of content? When is the right time to post for my content to perform at the highest level? Now, this is going to be different for every single creator. So it's down to you to test all of the different methods that I'm going to mention in this episode so that you can find the optimum time for you. Because the best time for me to post, I know that, I've tested. But if I just straight out say what mine is, that's not necessarily going to work for you. So today's episode is basically going to tell you all of the different methods that you need to test. You don't have to do them all. Just implement a few of them, combine them, test the results, see what you come up with, and then you can optimize your strategy accordingly. So without any further ado, let's just dive straight into the first tip. A lot of people will tell you to just go into the analytics on the mobile app version of Instagram. Because in there, if you scroll to the bottom, if you have a business or creator account, it will give you timings of when you have received the most engagement through certain points in the day. Now, initially, you might think, okay, that's the best time to post. Not necessarily the case. So rather than looking at the insights within the app, I suggest you actually go on to the Instagram Creator Studio on your computer, because the analytics that you are given in the Creator Studio are much more detailed than that of which you see on the mobile app. But as a creator myself who has tested all of these methods in the past, that is the least accurate one, in my opinion, despite the fact Instagram are giving you these insights. So I would have a look at it, take that into account, but not necessarily trust the data that it's given you. Instead, I suggest you follow the next 3 points that I'm about to mention. Number 1 being, check when your competitors post. Competitor analysis is something that I talk about a lot on this podcast. The information is already out there. There's a lot of creators who have already gone through the time and effort to test their current strategy. So why waste the time of endlessly testing content posting times when you can adapt a content strategy from someone that has already tested it and proven it to be right themselves? Now, I suggest you only do this if these people are in a similar niche to you. There's no point in copying posting times from somebody that is a food page when you're posting about marketing strategies like I do, because there's no correlation there. You're going to have two completely different audiences. Whereas if you look at someone in the same niche as you, it's likely that you're going to have a follower crossover. So that follower crossover can translate into then the posting time also working for you. So I would turn on post notifications for multiple successful creators who receive good engagement on their content. That way you can note down if they have a consistent posting schedule. When I've looked into it, most of them do. Most of them will stick to the same time every single day or roundabouts. With my content, I am personally testing at the moment around the 5 p.m. at Greenwich Mean Time. So if you follow me and turn my post notifications on, you will get a notification there or thereabouts that time. Whereas if you look at someone else, they might be 2 p.m, 3 p.m, consistently every single day. So do this for a range of creators within your niche and just note down when they post. You might see some consistencies. 5 out of the 10 creators you follow may post at the same time every single day. That should stand out to you. You should take this data into account and go, okay, look, that is going to be one of the first times that I test because this has been a successful case for multiple other successful creators. So that is the first thing I'd do. The next thing, I would simply ask your followers. There's no harm in asking your followers when they would like to consume your content most, what time of the day they are most likely to be consuming your content. Now you might be asking, how do I do this in a mass volume way? Well, just put up a poll on your story. Either do it as a quiz so you can give them multiple options, or you can use it as a question box and just simply ask, when are you most active on Instagram? And if it's a question box, they can give a specific time. If it's a quiz, you can give them different time frames. And there you go. Once you can narrow that down and see when the majority of the people are active, that gives you more of an idea. So you can then combine the data you've gathered from your audience, combine that with the data that you've gathered from other people's posting times. And then the final thing you need to do is simply split test. Test different times. You're never actually going to find out the perfect time to post your content if you aren't willing to test multiple different times. A lot of people will just find a post time and then just stick to it. And if they do that, they could be missing out on a ton of engagement, likes, new followers, and that potential for their piece of content to perform better than it did. So if you've currently just been posting at midday every single day since you started, and you feel as if you tested another time it could perform better, do it. Don't just stick to that same time because it's what your current followers are used to. Because yes, I get that they're now on a specific routine, so those that are ready to check in that day are going to check in at that point. But throwing in another time every now and again just to test the post performance against that anchor point that you had initially isn't a bad thing. So what I suggest is over the next 5 weeks, you test 5 different posting times. Week 1, you post at 11 a.m. Week 2, 1 p.m. Week 3, 3 p.m. Week 4, 5 p.m. Week 5, 7 p.m. And just then analyze the analytics you get between each of those content pieces that you post throughout those weeks. Gather up the data, which week performed best engagement-wise. That's the one you go with because that time worked best. And you then may realize that this actually did align with the other creators within your niche and the data that you gathered from the poll you did on your story. So it's just a case of gathering as much data as you possibly can from your competitors, from your followers, and then it's just a matter of testing it yourself. Pretty obvious in my opinion, but some of you might need that little nudge to just go and try it. So I hope I've opened your eyes to that opportunity. But I did just want to finish off by giving you a quick bonus hack that you might not actually be aware of. If you head over to the story tab, as if you were to make an Instagram story and scroll across to the live tab, as if you were to start a live, when you go onto that live tab, it actually tells you how many of your current followers are actually active on the app, which in my opinion is a phenomenal indicator to work out when people are most active. So just check in throughout different times of the day, every single day of the week for a few weeks, and note down how many of the followers are active. Because you will then see probably that there are certain times the majority of your followers are active, and then you can then add that into the data that you are gathering. So then you combine all of these things, do your split test, and whatever one comes out the best, stick to it. Be consistent with those posting times so that those followers can then get into that routine of consistently checking back with your content at that time, which is going to maximize your engagement in the long run, which is consequently going to help you grow. And that wraps up today's video on how to find the right time to post on your Instagram page. And that wraps up today's video. If you did enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turned on post notifications. But I did just also want to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School. And the audio version of the podcast is actually the place to be because I release this content a little bit sooner over there than I do here on YouTube. So I will leave some links to the audio version of the podcast in the video description. So head down there and make sure you are subscribing. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything I've mentioned, please just reach out to me on Instagram at @themarketingethan, send me a DM and I'll make sure I get back to you no matter what. But I did just want to finish off by saying if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you for tuning in and I'll see you in the next one.